Kampala to Canada, Jamira and Warren. Hey, all I need is your loving, yeah. Cause I need you, the one for me. Running on my mind every day, yeah. Carson family, hey. So, did we get pregnant? Hi guys, hope you're fine and safe. So I'm sure you've all been waiting for our next video, like did they get pregnant and so on, and like what happened and stuff. But I quickly wanted to talk about Asherman syndrome because most of my friends on Snapchat, on Facebook, and all my followers, like most of them have been asking me like what's Asherman syndrome and stuff. So I wrote some notes down to tell you what Asherman syndrome is and what I went through, the symptoms and everything. So Asherman syndrome is a formation of scar tissue in the uterine lining or uterine cavity, like your uterus, but the exact place where your baby is supposed to grow, it's like filled up with tissues, like scar tissue, and like there's no space. And most of the times, if it's really like severe, they really like get attached to each other, and you can't have your periods, you can't get pregnant. Like even if you manage to get pregnant, sometimes you just have miscarriages and so on. Like it's really very difficult to get pregnant, and if you do, there's higher chances of you miscarrying. Symptoms of Asherman syndrome, one of it is like late periods, as in every woman is supposed to go into their periods and like have 3 to 4 days. If you really like having like light periods, that could be a sign. Again, it could still be a sign of other diseases and stuff. And then the second symptom could be having irregular or no periods at all. Like for my case, I didn't have periods at all for 1 full year. No periods, no nothing. And like I could feel myself ovulate. I could feel my periods wanting to come out, but it couldn't come out. Yeah, so that was my symptom. And then pains during your periods, that one could also be a symptom, but that one, it's a common thing for periods. Some people have like other diseases and that causes them to have pain, like a lot of pain during their periods. And the other one this one I also had, it is like difficulty in conceiving, difficulty in getting pregnant. Like you're not pregnant, you're not having your periods, you're just there, like that one could also be a sign. So one more thing, like Asherman syndrome, sometimes there's no signs at all. No signs at all, especially like when you're on contraceptives, like on family planning and something. Like you might think it's a family contraceptive side effects and stuff, that's why you're not having your periods and so on. But sometimes there's something wrong, because I had an implant put in my hand, so we had to take it out because we were like, okay, let's try. Actually, we didn't even remove my implant because we wanted to have a baby or we are ready to have a baby. No, we took it out because my body was really reacting. I was getting sick, as like my hormones were everywhere. My hormones were like everywhere. So I was like, okay, we need to get rid of this. And then we talked about it and Warren, and we removed it. Then later on, we waited for my periods. My periods still didn't come. We went to the hospital and like we tried to get some medication for my periods. For me to get my periods, we tried all the pills and the pills, but still the periods couldn't come. So sometimes no signs or symptoms at all. Especially like when you're on contraceptive, you will never know if it's Asherman syndrome or not. So how do you diagnose Asherman syndrome? It's actually only 2 ways you can find out that you have Asherman syndrome. It's through hysteroscopy HSG. I don't know how to pronounce this. So hysteroscopy is the one I did. They inserted the hysteroscope through my cervix into my uterus to see what's happening in there, and that's when they realized and saw the tissue scars in my uterus. So that's how we got to know that I have Asherman syndrome. Again, before them going inside me to check if I had Asherman syndrome, like I had gone through a lot, I had taken a lot of medicine and stuff. Deep down, like my intuition was telling me it could be Asherman syndrome. And I remember talking to Warren about it. I'm like, I think this could be Asherman syndrome. And then I also talked to my doctor, and I'm like, this could be Asherman syndrome. Like, they would give me all the best medication, and they would be like, take this for 2 weeks, 1 week, and come back. I would go back, and I'm like, okay, this time I think I'm fine. And then going back to the hospital, they're like, I'm sorry, nothing has changed. It's even getting worse. Like, I was like, oh my God, what's happening to me? And then I started thinking and checking on YouTube, like, what's Asherman syndrome? Because one of my friends had Asherman syndrome, and she couldn't really, like, get pregnant and stuff. So I kind of knew a tiny bit of Asherman syndrome, but for her, she used to get her periods. I don't know how her periods were, but she used to get her periods. The HSG, it's the one they use a contrast dye. They just use the dye, they inject the dye in your uterus, and then they use the x-ray like to see what's going on. Is the dye moving? Is it blocked or whatever? So that's how they use that one, I think, also to check the blocked tubes, if your tubes are blocked or something like that. So that's how they diagnose Asherman syndrome. So what causes Asherman syndrome? The causes of Asherman syndrome are D and C procedures that are mostly carried out during incomplete miscarriages or abortions or C-sections or fibroid removals, something like that. Anything that has to go inside your uterus, like to clear something they might damage your uterus. I mean, that place is really important. I mean, when you're pregnant, that's where your baby sits, and that's where your baby grows. So if it's damaged, if it's blocked, no chances of getting baby. Treatment for Asherman syndrome. Honestly speaking, Asherman syndrome doesn't really have like a specific treatment. They haven't really come out with a proper treatment, like this is what has to treat it or be cured or something like that. No, they don't. There's nothing. So they give you medication, they try medication, but the only treatment that is supposed to be done, they have to go inside your uterus using like hysteroscope, and go in your uterus. They cut all those scar tissues outside and hope for the best, because sometimes they remove those scars and those scars regenerate, like they grow again, and like so it's so complicated. And for my case, we did the hysteroscope the first time. Like they went in there, they saw it immediately when I was still out, like in the surgery room. They came and told Warren, like, she has Asherman syndrome, should we proceed and like take it out instead of her coming out and then we have to take her in again? And then he was like, yeah, let's do it. And then they removed it, and then after 2 weeks I was supposed to go back. I went back. It had eaten, it had grew again. The scars had regenerated again. So that means I had to go inside again. And then I went into the surgery again. They had to cut them out, and this time they had to put a balloon to prevent the scars from growing again.
And they had to cut out some scar tissues again. And they put a balloon inside me for 5 days. It's very uncomfortable. They just put a balloon inside your uterus. The pipe comes through your cervix down to your vagina and stuff.
Yeah, they told me to wait for a few weeks, and then I went back. Going back, my lining was not growing again. Because I mean, your lining has to grow and stuff. My line was completely not growing. And that time, that was the time we were trying to have a baby. That's why we were really like going through all that. Meaning, like, even if I got pregnant, I could miscarry. Like, my womb couldn't really like attain having a baby in there. So my doctor's like, I'm sorry, it's not really growing. I don't know what's happening and stuff. And then she was like, there's only one way. If this one fails, then I'm sorry. Just forget about having kids, forget about doing anything and stuff. And we were like, what's that? And there's a, whatever it's called, PRP. And she told us about PRP. PRP is a procedure where they take out your blood and then they clean. There's, I don't know the medical term. They just take out the, I don't know what it's called, but they just take your blood, they clean it, and they take out what they want. So whatever they remove from your blood, they go inside your uterus and they put it in your uterus so that your uterus or your lining can grow on its own. Because my uterus, actually, it was like dead. It wasn't working. The blood couldn't reach there. It was nothing. It wasn't reacting. So it needed to be regenerated. So they had to use PRP to do that. Like, but there's no medication. They just take your own blood, they clean it up, and then they inject it into your uterus. And so we went back, they took my blood, we went inside, they injected it. They injected it inside my uterus, like they put me to sleep again. We, like, after 2 weeks, we had to go back, and like the procedure had to be done 4 times. 2 times every after 14 days. But 4 times. We went back. My lining was still not growing after going through that. Remember, they put me into surgery and then they injected that PRP inside my uterus, like like all over my uterus. So after 2 weeks, we went back. It wasn't still growing. So she was like, let's just insert this through the cervix. Like that simple. They just tell you to sleep, open your legs. I don't know, they put like a small tube inside you and they push the PRP and then it goes inside your uterus. But this time they didn't inject it. So they did that 2 times and they told me to wait, and then we waited. After waiting for like 14 days again, it was always like 2 weeks. And then we go back to the hospital and nothing happened. And then the doctor is like, Jamila, you know what? Your body has really gone through so much. I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you. Your body is not responding. I mean, your uterus is not responding. All the medication they gave me, my body like responded. I had like all the side effects and stuff. I was like dying, but my uterus wasn't responding. So after that, like I cried, yeah. The doctor cried too, like in the office, because I was like so sad. I'm like, oh my God, we're not gonna have another baby and stuff. So she just told me, let's stop now. I can't make you go through another procedure. If your body is not responding now, that means it's not gonna respond. So let's wait. Maybe in a few months with this treatment, maybe your body will heal or something like that. So we were like, okay, we had nothing to do. We came home, I was crying, I was so stressed all that time, and like, so we kind of gave up. Yeah, we kind of gave up, but you know, as a woman, that is the worst thing that someone could ever tell you, that I'm sorry, you can't have babies anymore. Like, even if you don't want to have babies, you still want to know that you can still have babies, you just don't want to. So we gave up, we accepted it that we may not have babies anymore and stuff. So after that, yeah, okay, before I go with whatever happens, like, what are the side effects I went through? Oh my God, that was the worst part I had to go through. My skin was like so bad. I'm gonna put a short video and show you how my skin was. I bloated. My skin was like so itchy. I would scratch myself and like get wounds on my skin and stuff. Like if you've ever been pregnant and you know how bad morning sickness is, that was exactly what I was going through because of the medication I was taking. Like, do I even have to compare this to like chemotherapy medication? Like, I've never been through something like this. My skin broke down, like broke down literally. I had wounds everywhere, like here, my eyes, like I became so dark, and then my tummy like bloated. I was like 7 months pregnant. Like I was never normal. I was always sick every day. Something else, like I was always sick. Like I was just so tired of the medication. And like going through all that, and then they come and tell me, we are sorry, we can't do anything anymore. Your body is not really reacting. Your uterus is not reacting. Every tiny part of my body reacted to the medication apart from my uterus. And my blood was no longer even going into my uterus and stuff. Yeah, so I went through that, and then I gave up, and then I went to Africa. I left Warren in India, so I met Saint. I was so excited. I met Sierra. I was so happy and stuff. And because Saint is really young and Sierra is really like, she's now a teenager. She's 13. So I really like had to come back with Saint. Because again, the lady has said like, let's give it time. Like in 2 months, come back and we can maybe see what's going on there and maybe just do the PRP. My doctor really was really like so strict on that. He was like, you go, but please come back maybe in 2 to 3 weeks. But then I took a month like in Africa because I was trying to find a visa, to get a visa. And they were like, we can give you a visa, but we can't give your daughter a visa. Like, hey, as a parent, what would you do? Like, they just told you might never have kids like during COVID. And I don't think you would want to leave your young kid anywhere. Like, I mean, she's only 4 and stuff. So like, it was so frustrating. I was going through a lot. Like, Warren was so stressed because we were supposed to come back. He was here alone and stuff. So I just told the guys, like the commissioners or something at the Indian embassy, and I'm like, I'm sorry. This is what I'm going through. You're putting me in a position to choose between my treatment and my kid. So I left. And then I was home, and then they called me. They were like, can you tell your husband to write us a letter about the kid and stuff? So I called Warren, and Warren wrote them. After writing them, and then like after 2 days, they called me. They're like, okay, can you bring your daughter's file and stuff? So we took the file, and thank God they gave us the visa. The day they gave us the visa, I was home. I was like, nothing. I just saw my periods, and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? I was so happy. Like, I called Warren and told him, because the doctor had told me I'm not gonna have my periods again. I'm not gonna get pregnant, no periods, no nothing. So I wasn't expecting my periods. So I called Warren, I called my doctor. My doctor was really, really, really happy. Warren was really, really excited because he wasn't also expecting my periods and stuff. So we got the visas, and then we fly back to India, and then we came like we were supposed to be quarantined, like home quarantine for 2 weeks. We stayed home. Lucky enough, like after 3 weeks, I got my periods again. I went to the hospital. They had to check, like, to test my blood flow, hormones. Like, they only test your hormones when you're in your periods and stuff. So that one we never did because I never had my periods for the whole year. Yeah, I went there on my 3rd day, I think. Yeah, they tested me and stuff. And then they put me on medication immediately on follicle stimulator, something like that. Like, they make your eggs grow healthy faster, etc. Yeah, after giving me those injections, we came back home, and then we went back to the hospital. They gave me the HCG injections, and they told me, like, okay, you guys gonna try today, tomorrow, and the next day. So we did. I think as women, we need to really, really listen to our body. I think the most important thing, you really need to listen to your body. Even if your doctor sometimes tells you something, don't just agree. You need to listen to your body. Because I listened to my body. Most of the things that happened to me, I kept telling my doctor. He found out later. But my intuitions and my body, like, I could feel it. Like, I could feel, I'm like, this is what is happening. I think I have this. And then I would go and do some research on my own, YouTube, Google and stuff, and like try to figure out what's happening as I work with my doctor too. So I think it's really important, because with the Asherman syndrome, sometimes when it's really like too late, it can't. Like, you don't even get a chance to be cured or healed or whatever. Sometimes they say it eats you up through the tubes, through the ovaries, and up to your intestines. Like, I don't think that would really be good if it ate your intestines. I think that would really be dangerous for you. So I think it's really important. If you're a woman and you're really like not seeing your periods, you're not on like contraceptives or family planning, and you're not getting pregnant and stuff, I think just find some money, make an appointment, go see your doctor, and try to do a hysteroscopy procedure or whatever. Let them go inside there and check what's going on. Like, is everything okay before it's too late? So I hope this video helps someone out there. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And for those of you who have subscribed and have been really watching our videos, thank you so much. Snapchat, you guys, I love you so much. Snapchat, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, like, we really appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
Carson family. Hey.